Welcome everybody to another episode of the Hatten Health Podcast.
Episode 6.
That's right. Today we are very blessed and very excited to be talking with a very, very wonderful professional in her field today. And we have experience working with her. We have met her a while back. She's an awesome human being. I'm going to say a little blurb about her to get us started.
So Alicia Collette, she is an amazing mom, wife. She's mom of 3. She has almost a 3-month-old now, as her youngest. She is a mental health professional. She has 14 years experience in that field. She's a digital detox coach, and so many amazing things. We are so excited to have her on our podcast. We've done master classes in the past together, and she just brings so much to the table, and we can't wait to dive into what she has to say today. But first, again, we're Hatten Health Podcast, and we focus on
family,
health,
growth,
and empowerment.
So let's make this happen
together. And cheers to Alicia.
Cheers to you.
Welcome.
Alicia Collette, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, everyone. I really appreciate it. I'm so excited to be here with you both today and just appreciate the time and space to be able to connect.
Yeah, this is awesome.
All right, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. So a little background about me. Like Evie said, I have 14, almost 15. Now we're getting closer to that 15 range. Oh my goodness. I was thinking about that and I was like, yeah, 14 plus, but yeah, we're rounding closer to 15 now. And so it's crazy to think about that, of just how much time I've spent in the field of being able to help families understand what connection really looks like and being able to figure out how we kind of navigate through basic emotional regulation battles, a lot that derive from screen time battles, and how it can impact relationships, sleep, communication, just basic everyday functioning. And I've learned so much through the mental health profession, but so much more when you become a parent and you're like, oh yeah, I think I got this. And no, I mean, every day as parents, right? Like we are just constantly humbled and learning about how we can just adjust and pivot and learn from our kids, because as much as we have to teach them, they just teach us so much. And so a lot of times, I feel like there has just been so many moments of a mirror put up to my face of how can I be readjusting my approach, especially because screens, goodness, they are just ever evolving and we are learning so much all the time. So I am just so passionate behind trying to help families reconnect and be intentional with their time, but also that huge component of how screens just find their way in there and how we all, myself included, have navigated through that distraction of how much time we're spending on there and just that piece in and of itself.
That's amazing. Because today, I mean, they're everywhere, right? Yeah, if you go out,
Yes.
you got TVs everywhere. Everybody's on their phone constantly. So it's an important part, and it's not easily recognized. You have to actually notice how much time you're spending on screens to bring awareness to it. So, how do modern families today, like, how do you disconnect from that?
It's honestly, it's everywhere. Like you said. Oh, sorry, Kari, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, with all the distractions out there, it's so easy to be distracted and just let ourselves fall victim to our devices so much where we end up using it as a crutch just to get through the day. But what makes what you do so special is you help people go the other way, how not to use our devices and screens to get through the day, but how just to use that as like a treat or a special occasion, not just be the main focus point of the day. And one of the things that we love to focus on when we have guests on is not only just the education and information that the guests will like to give to the listeners and the viewers from their expertise in their fields, but also get into how they got into that field. We got them started in that profession. So we want rewind the clock a little bit, go back to that, and then
Yeah.
also bring us up to speed today and as far as what you're doing now and how you're helping, because all this information is very, very valuable. We love to have you let you share that
Yeah.
with everybody.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I'll certainly dive into a little bit of the background of how this came to be. I knew that like screens were always a challenge, but I didn't realize how much it was impacting my husband and I's everyday life. So my husband and I had quite the journey to welcoming our little girl, our first daughter into the world. And one of our major commitments, vows to one another was if we ever have the opportunity to bring a child into this world, we don't want our child to be the quote unquote iPad kid. And so fast forward into parenting, she wasn't the iPad kid, but man, did she have like screen dependent parents. And so it's a constant battle still, as I was sharing, just like that ever evolving screen dependency that we all fall trapped to, so to say. And so what I came to this realization was when I was walking out of a room one day and she said, "Mama, phone." And she handed me my phone like as if it was like an extension of my body. And I was like, "Oh my goodness." I was like, I don't need to be carrying this everywhere. I'm doing everything, as is my husband, under the sun to make sure that she is not so dependent on screens. And yet, we're not looking at ourselves of what we can be doing differently. And oftentimes, I mean, it's easier for us to point out what other people do, right, than looking within
Yeah,
ourselves.
yeah.
Um, but so much of my heart behind this mission is how we can just create that awareness and understanding that it starts with us as parents. I mean, so much of what you guys are doing in Hatten Health, it start by that by what you're doing as parents of leading your children into welcoming them into the kitchen and food prep and meal preparing and trying to help them understand that importance around the table. Well, that's so important too with anything that we're doing and also within screens. Like it has to start with us. What are we modeling? Because I can sit there and tell my kids all of these things that they should be doing, but if I am doing the opposite of it, that is where that disconnect comes
They
into
watch
play.
us, they observe us more
Yeah,
than we know, right?
more than we know.
They'll mimic and yeah, watch us more than anything we say, right? Anything we tell them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we have to set the example with our actions for sure.
Yeah.
And I
Very
catch
much so.
myself all the time. In every
Yes.
aspect of life, it's like, I don't know, I'll realize, oh, I shouldn't have done that in front of her, or I shouldn't have
Right.
said that in front of her, or, and yeah, it's a challenge. And like you said, it's definitely a good reflection on myself and humbling.
Yes.
Yes.
I've learned so
Me
much
too.
about myself and what I need to work on
Yes.
to help
Yes.
her out.
Yeah.
Hopefully, not be as
Right. It's like
Yes.
telling myself, do I want the
as many issues.
digital, electronic, visual and audio stimulation raise our child, or do we want us to raise our child? Because
Yes.
right now, yeah, they like learning from not the visual, the mimicking, but well, yeah, that too, but leading by example,
Mhm.
teaching through actions, because a lot of times the whatever we say just might go over a head or in one ear, out the one other ear, but the actions though, they are so observant, they want to copy that and see that and internalize that. And they may not say it in the moment, but they
Yeah.
know and they see it. And even sometimes if you have to just kind of like just bear down and get through it, but you know that they are wanting to absorb everything. I keep
Yeah.
constantly myself that catching myself slipping a lot and trying not to let it flow over into what she's seeing or hearing from us. So you were
Yes.
absolutely right about that.
But that, I mean, really, that is quite quite the detailed response to even the question that you asked about, like, how do modern families navigate this? And really, it's of us being able to trust our own decisions and not fall into, oh, I got to look it up online. And I have to make sure that maybe it's an idea that I want to come up with, or what if I were to change something at home? Let me see phone says, whatever it is. I don't care if you're Googling, I don't care if you're using AI, whatever the case is, messaging somebody else. When we start to resource all of that information out and we are not trusting ourselves to make that decision, then that also starts to impact the confidence of our own children making their decisions. Because, like Kari, you just said, I mean, we're doing this and we're modeling it, but we're not realizing that it's such a bigger impact than us just being on our phone. It really starts to impact their ability to even trust themselves in the everyday moments. And so, how can we sit there and like delay that gratification of having an answer? Be able to sit through, oh my goodness, those tantrums that feel like they are lasting forever. And I just want to like tap out and go into my phone. But man, what am I modeling? And so, for modern parents, trusting ourselves and understanding like what do we want our family to look like and function like, because that's where it begins first and foremost. And if you don't know that answer for yourself, that's where that hard mirror in your face needs to begin, because your family's future, your children's brain development, ability to trust themselves starts with what you're role modeling. And that is crucial within how quickly we are reaching for our phones every single moment of the day.
Yeah, nothing stronger than the parental instinct. I mean, it's not always perfect, but it's the most pure
Yes.
of teaching and intuition that we can feel and pass on to them, I feel.
Mhm.
Yep.
And I find myself too, like, especially with this move and everything, like I have been on my phone more than I have, I feel like ever in her existence and our daughter's existence, just with everything going on. And I
Sure.
always like was catching myself and feeling bad because she sees me on my phone and exactly what your daughter did. Like she like,
Yeah.
hey mom, here's your phone. I know I actually wanted to be left alone.
Yes.
But and so trying to limit it as much as I can in front of her, but sometimes it doesn't always work. But then when she wants to, when she does want her iPad or she does want to watch TV, it's hard to say no because she sees me on my screen or on my
Yeah.
computer and she wants her little laptop or stuff like that. So it's like, how do you say no to that? Because that's what
Mm.
like
She checks us on it too. Like if we're playing with her or doing something with her, the moment we pull out our phone, it can be for any reason, business related, personal,
Yeah.
or I vibrate or something. If we just pull out our phone holding our hand, a lot of times she'll be like, no, daddy, or no phones, or she'll put the phone down or grab it. You're right. Yeah, you're right.
or then she
Okay.
just wants to watch videos of herself.
Yeah.
Well, and it's a good gut check for us, but also like we can't remove screens and devices all the time. And so figuring out in addition to that, like what are the anchors of your day that are going to be open for screens? So I know that like we have gotten our kids into like the older Disney movies, like some of the classics. And so our kids, what movie are we going to watch? And we try to like find a different one that they haven't watched and one that we can like play if we're like starting to cook dinner, but then like it's within eyesight and earshot of us. And so we don't totally refuse screens, right? But when our kids know this is the time that we can use our screens, it's built in like an anchor of their day. So it's not necessarily like, oh, I'm just gonna numb out and I'm going to also dual screen, right? So if I have my phone up and a TV is up, that's also going against an anchor of your day. And what I mean by that is that opens up the door to distraction living, so to say. But if you have the parts of your day where, hey, I'm playing with my kids, and maybe I would say, to the scenario that you're talking about, Kari, of, hey, like daddy's probably going to get a message soon or something, or maybe even, oh, I'll respond to that later. So verbalizing, narrating what you're doing in that moment too, is another anchor that you're able to fall into and that then your kids can model too. This is what I'm doing, because if we're just picking it up and like, oh yeah, hold on a second, and we're just doing that, our kids don't really know what that's like. And today I actually had to do that with my daughter, and I said, "Oh, I'm actually messaging daddy to ask him when you're going to go to Oma's house." And she was like, "Oh, okay. Go ahead." And
Yeah.
like totally good with that, right? Like cuz we're doing
There are some
plans
of
for
few
you.
words in there that maybe say, oh, it's like mama's house or whatever, like daddy.
Yes.
It's like, Yeah, it's a good thing. Go ahead.
Yeah, fine. I'll be patient. No big deal. But like before, then it turns into like, what are you doing? I want you off of this. I want to do whatever the case is. Like then it starts that battle even with us too. So trying to find those moments where you can narrate it, where you can find those anchors, those screen-free anchors to put in and establish your own boundaries are also just so crucial for that relational connection because that builds that open communication, builds that trust, and then that confidence in being able to know that, oh, mom and dad are doing what they say they're going to do as
Right.
well.
No, those are really great points. And,
Yeah.
a lot of times we don't think that we should tell our kids everything that we're doing, right? Or even
Right.
something as
Yeah.
simple as a text message.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and so just opening, like you said, that communication could be huge impact for sure. Good point. Mhm.
What are some of the highlights of your coaching that you've experienced so far?
Yeah. Honestly, being able to just hear from families how simple that some of these changes are of, oh my goodness, I can't believe I didn't think about this. Or, oh my goodness, I didn't realize that it would be that easy. Well, it's also seemingly hard. So when we think about like, oh my goodness, I was talking to one of the parents the other day and they were like, I feel like this is like this big mountain and this big hill of, like we're talking about how we fix these screen time habits, but at the end of the day, it really isn't as big of a challenge when we're just putting it into action and not overthinking it. And it almost goes in this opposite action of what screens tell us to. So even when I'm scrolling online and I see a reel and it's like, oh, do this. Well, here are all the things that you have to do. Oh my goodness, that seems super overwhelming. But if we spend less time putting it into our thought process and having to like think about it all the time and just putting it into action, that's been the biggest thing that I have heard from families is just don't think about it and just do it
Mhm.
because that has been the most success for them. And I think to myself how often that we are just inundated with information and I'll save this for later. I'll do this for later. But we just the families that I have seen the most success with is when they're just, no, I'm going to do it. I'm not going to think about it. I'm not going to table it. I'm not going to delay it. I'm just going to make it happen. And now. And another piece is when families say that, like, this is our family rule of like what these pieces look like. I was talking to a mom the other day and she said, I really liked how in one of the modules of my online course that she was talking about she really liked how it said that there is the piece of the day where she's not policing everybody else but she's just focusing on herself and what she needs to do, and she was saying I all of a sudden like wasn't as worried about my kids' screen time and they were starting to pick up on that I was not badgering them as much so they didn't see it as enticing as much either when the battle wasn't there. And I was thinking, huh, like I get it. I just didn't like necessarily like think about like, oh, I should even
Right.
describe it that way in my course. So hearing that mom talk about it, I was like, absolutely. Yes, like totally makes sense. But again, some of these aha moments of being so simplified, of when you're just putting it into action, how you can learn through the process of it.
Right. Yeah. And especially moms too, we overthink everything most of the time,
Yes.
right? We spend too
Yes.
much thinking, but action is where changes happen, things are happening. So that's awesome.
Do you ever feel like you have to compete with your child's want and urge for screen time or external stimulation at any moments of the day? Or do you feel like it's not a competition at times for like as far as like entertainment or attention or just any type of any type of stimulation that would keep them engaged?
hmm
Do you ever feel that, or is it a non-issue?
Yeah. No, no, it definitely is an issue. And, I think we can see it outside of screens, right? Like our kids are looking for some sort of stimulation. And so if we are constantly providing them entertainment, even ourselves constantly providing that entertainment, we're not giving our brain the opportunity to feel the excitement of the little things in life. And so when we listen to a podcast, a children's podcast in the car when we go, and my kids want it on all the time. And I'm like, no, I'll pick and choose. Like, right now we're just going to look out the window. And, I get the responses back of annoyance or the screaming in the car, or whatever the case is. And I just tell myself they don't need to be entertained. It's not my job to entertain them. They are going to seek some sort of stimuli, just like I do, right? Like that's just our brain. That's what it's wired. I want something exciting and that dopamine rush. But if I don't hold that boundary for them as a parent, then I am training their brain that it needs that constant input. And then they're not going to be able to wait in line. They're not going to be able to feel like boredom is an opportunity for creativity. They're just going to be irritated and upset that they are not being entertained or engaging in an exciting moment of some
You
sort.
with that.
So allowing them to,
Yes.
allowing them
Yes.
brains exercise their imagination and let that grow and develop to entertain themselves.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like most of you have to work. Imagination may be big, but they don't know it yet. So
Yes.
relying on external everything else or anybody else,
Yeah.
let them figure out a way to entertain themselves, and then that grows and gets more powerful to the point where eventually they won't be so reliant on a bunch of screens or mom and dad to keep them entertained, whatever. Like say if it's a car ride or something, or if they're like you
Yeah.
just said, waiting in line or going somewhere, walking somewhere where like they may think this is boring. Like, no, it's not boring. Just sit with yourself and let
Yes.
yourself take over.
Yes. And, I will just say this, and I know that it's opening up like a little bit of a can of worms too, but some of the developmental milestones changed shortly after COVID as well. And so some of the pieces that are involved in it, not all, but some of the pieces that are involved in that too, is the sedentary lifestyle of kiddos in front of screens as well. And so changing back like kindergarten readiness, and it's pushed back a little bit more as well of, oh, it's okay if they don't know all of their letters, or it's okay if they're not understanding what all of these colors are in different things. And we're pushing back and accepting that too, even in the school system. And I know, again, this is opening up a can of worms, but truly, I mean, there is a huge piece of how it is also changing the functioning of their brain too. And it starts at home and what we're doing and what we're allowing, because screens are not going away. So it's okay for us to experience that. We want to be able to build a safety understanding around screens so that they can experience it, learn from them, as it continues to evolve, but understand that there are specific boundaries and that we are not going to spend every minute of the day on devices as well.
That's a really good point. Yeah, because I mean, I know there are some parents that out there that do completely try to really restrict screens. And
Yeah.
it's almost like sugar in a way, right?
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
there are those extreme parents out there that
Yeah.
absolutely no sugar for their kids, but
Yeah.
when you're that restrictive and then those kids get older, then they go off to school and then they become teenagers, adults.
Yes.
Right. So then they don't know how to navigate that in the real world. And
Yes.
so starting off at a young age, learning that yes, there are screens, and like you said, they're not going away. Definitely
Yep.
not anywhere. Unless we have like a huge
Living in a bunker.
I know.
solar flare or something comes in.
As the years go on,
I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah, just the education around them, like you
Yeah.
said, boundaries, watching more educational things or
Yep.
non-stimulating things. Yeah, just and it takes effort as a parent to set those boundaries. You might have tantrums, you might have some really
Yes.
rough times, but it's just, I mean, it's a similar to sugar. We're trying to do like a sugar detox on your kids.
Yes.
I'm saying sugar because
Absolutely.
our daughter ate a ton of sugar this weekend. It's the most sugar she's ever had in her life. And so first thing this morning, she's like, I want candy. When she woke up, I'm
Yep.
no. Yep. I was like,
Give her
yep.
so much freedom this past weekend, more than usual, and now the side effects of
Yeah,
it.
there's
So
like a big festival in town, and then
yeah,
So fun though.
which was so much fun. But she had like,
Yes.
yeah, it
But
was
then also you guys are reestablishing that's a fun thing that's not our everyday norm.
right.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yes.
will they come back
the
to
screens are the exact same way, sugar and screens.
Yes.
You think a
Yes.
little.
Absolutely. We could.
physical candy, physical candy, and mental candy.
Yes. Oh my goodness. So true.
Oh, I forgot where I was going with that.
Well, you did start to touch on um like them getting a little bit like little restrictive parents and like being a little too restrictive, a little too sheltering from those things like the screens and the sugar and the
Yeah.
candy. Then once they get out and get a little taste of it, it kind of they go crazy because they don't know how to handle it or they don't understand the boundaries that was set. So I think he was talking about the importance of setting boundaries.
Yeah, and exposure. And again, it goes back to the communication piece too.
Yeah,
Like,
very much so.
and no matter how young they are, you think they might not comprehend it, but our kids understand more than we think they do sometimes.
They
And
do.
communication
And
too. They learn they get so much from us before they even start school that we don't even realize till they're in school how much of us is in them as far as communication and uh,
yes.
speech and yeah, all that.
Yeah.
And we are looking at just to like say like a little bit of censoring. So if like you have kids around or anything, I do just want to like put a plug in right now of saying that of what I'm about to say as well for any parents listening to this around their kids that we are experiencing kids looking at violence, pornography, and any sort of like substance and drugs by the age of 5 and 6 right now. And so if we are not having those conversations at home, the chances of them seeing a screen and something come across the screen, whether you're at like a family gathering, whether you're at like watching like with other older siblings, cousins, extended family, whatever the case is as well, that's going to happen at some point. And so how do you then create that understanding of screen safety? With your kids, like you were saying, like that open communication and talking to them about it, because they will learn about those things and unfortunately like at the age of 5 or 6 you're thinking no way, like what, that's like insane to
Or you
me.
don't having to prepare for those conversations before you're ready if
Yes.
they see something
Right.
that you were
Yes.
or
Yes.
even just like YouTube. You can't control what YouTube
a
ads,
hundred percent
right?
Right.
So a lot of
Yeah.
times, we'll turn YouTube on just to watch something. Like she
Yes.
does the narrative of like the very hungry caterpillar on YouTube.
Oh yes.
And so, but it's
And the
like
kids workout stuff and it's
right, but then there's commercials and it's like I'm terrified because I never know what
a hundred
commercial is
percent
going to show, and you can't. There's not like parent.
well there
There's
is
not, like you can't regulate that.
You can't
Yes.
regulate ads. So
well
Yes.
there is YouTube Kids. It's like YouTube Kids, where the YouTube has a whole different platform was only
Yes.
just kid related stuff and the
Yes.
ads that are on there from my understanding is only like kid related ads like you see on like certain kid channels on TV. It's only
Yes.
stuff geared towards kids and parents for kids. But even with that though, I don't know about the age levels that those ads are. Like
Right.
10 and
That's the
under,
thing I
12
don't
and
know
under.
either.
I don't know, so I don't have that subscription yet. I should check it out. But yeah, even that you can't fully trust it unless you're fully engaged in that. But even still, though, that can be too much. You don't want them exposed to too much right already. And
Yeah.
like you're starting to get on already before. Even if you're out in public, you don't know what kind of conversation they may overhear. Over here, you can be in the most
Yes.
innocent settings, and
or
you hear
even
people
like
just talking about
on
whatever
an
next to you.
airplane. Yeah.
For sure.
Like
Yeah.
well, or the back of the screens, like when they're up on the back of the seat.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
you never can I mean
Next to you, watching whatever.
something super
Yes.
gory or
Yeah.
sexual. It's like
Whenever I'm
Yeah.
watching a movie on the plane, if I got kid or young shots next to me, I'm not gonna watch anything that
between the seats
messed
really
up.
well. So
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
careful about what I'm watching. When I'm by myself on the plane, I never know.
Oh, yeah, but there, I mean, it's going to be out there at some point in time or another. So how you guys navigate that as families is really important. Again, to go back to what your anchors are, that open line of communication and starting to role model those pieces at home so that you can prepare your kiddos for going out into the world, whether it's even just school, too.
What are some of the things, the biggest things that you learned from your first child to your second,
Mhm.
and how have you implemented those in your teachings?
Yeah. I never, ever, ever allowed our first child, or my husband and I, never allowed our first child to have any access to screens before the age of 2. There was like absolute no. With our third, now that she's 3 months, we don't allow her to see any screens because it like impacts their vision and brain development. But really, it is recommended up until the age of 2. But even like we didn't allow our daughter to like watch any movies and things like that until she was over the age of 3. Well, then she had this fear of it. And I was like, oh man. So now that our son is like over 2, I'm like, okay, it's okay for us to do this like now at 2, like as their brain develops a little bit more. I mean, we did like we FaceTime, we've done, just different things of the sort. We have a lot of family that live out of state. And so we're trying to, when we start screens after the age of 2 with our kiddos, of starting it with movies, and not modern day movies, but more of like the classics of Disney movies. And I say that because of how quickly that the screen moves. And so that also provides that stimuli to your brain and then helps your brain to understand, oh, I need to get another stimuli and another stimuli. Well, right now, screens are moving about every 2 to 3 seconds. And sometimes even less than that, between what they're showing on screens. But if you go into like the old classics, like we just watched Aristocats last night, and so like it's like we're watching like movies from the 60s, right? Like in there, but like they're so funny and so cute, and our kids are laughing at like the old humor in it, and so they're picking up on some of those pieces, and that's great too because then like it gives us the opportunity to talk with them. So we do our best to try to sit down with them, maybe not the full length of the movie, like I said earlier, if I'm getting dinner started or something of the sort, but being able to try to start the conversation with them. So I'm going to sit that down with them and I'm going to join them and talk to them about it. Oh, did you see what this just happened? And Cruella de Vil is a really big hot topic in our house right now. She is not a nice lady, is what my kiddos are talking about. And so my son's calling Cruella de Vil on the phone with his little like play, like turn phone, whatever. And he's like, no, 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 no puppies. Like, just talking to her about it. And like, it's funny because then they're like talking it through, but movies are so important. And I say that like that I've stuck with that pretty like through and through, because it talks about like how things start out as good and then something bad happens, but then there is some sort of resolution at the end, and that's part of life, right? Like as we go through solving problems, as we go through navigating different things, that's really important. Whereas we don't get that with like short form videos all the time. So if we're looking at a reel online, if we're looking at a short video, a short clip of some sort on YouTube, or even if we're like watching like a short series of like some sort of like 7, 8 minute episode, like we do have that, but it's shorter time frame. So again, attention span and ability to sit in the moment too. So that hasn't changed a ton for us, but definitely like I'm not waiting until like 3 to expose our kiddos to it. We're just very purposeful of then like what the time of day is that we're doing that, and how we're implementing that as a family. And then of course, just our own screen use. Because with our daughter, I was like, oh yeah, she's good. I'm just gonna scroll over here and she's not gonna notice it. But she did. And so I've even noticed it within my own postpartum journey, like with our third. And every postpartum journey is so different, but I'm so much, even though I'm still on my phone while I'm nursing, that I'm so much less urgently grabbing my phone than what I was with our first child and our second child. And I just feel less of an urgency to have to be online, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Because you're sitting there for 15,
Ever.
20 minutes, right? You're like, what do I do? Especially when they're
Yes.
really young, right?
Yes,
So young that they're
exactly.
not quite looking at you yet or interacting with you. You're just like,
Yes.
what do I do?
Yep.
Phone.
Yes, exactly. There it is. Grab it.
Well, I
Oh.
love that. And I hope a lot of people hear this because a lot of people do need to hear this, especially with all this incredible information you are giving. I know you have a ton more information to give. And with all that being said, what are some first steps that families should take?
Absolutely. So I would say that starting with those anchors of your day, what are the times of your day where you're going to say, we are not having screens. We are not having phones, devices out. So one of the best ones is not at the table,
Yeah.
right? If we are starting with meals, that includes meal prepping too, right? Like if we're going to have our screen up, we're going to share the screen to know what the recipe is, to make sure that we're following that. But we're also not going to be, oh, I'm going to message this person, right? So, like, mealtime is one of those huge anchors that I would start with for the day. That's something that we just really, really want to protect. There's so much opportunity for conversation, connection, core memories to be made in those moments. So that is certainly one piece to start with. The other piece is parents start with yourself. Don't try to pull your kids in. We're going to do this right away. We can get there, right? But like start with you. Start to figure out what is my tendency and my habits that I'm kind of forming on here, and what does this look like? I offer different habit trackers and how you can kind of look within yourself. I have a connected home starter pack that can get you jump started with some of those pieces of just basic tracking for yourself, but being able to just understand what does it look like for me? Because if you don't know that, then how do you expect yourself to change?
Right.
As well. And then, the other piece is to not expect perfection. Because if we are going to that extreme of, I'm going to shut out screens. Yes, we talked about, the downfalls of that, but also it's not realistic. So the cycle of shame that then comes back up of, oh, I reached on my phone again. Give yourself some grace with it because we don't want to get ourselves stuck in this cycle of I have to do this and I have to do that. Well, we're putting the pressure on ourselves. So rather than creating opportunity, we're adding another task to ourselves, and we don't want to do that. We just want to live life with our families and being able to cultivate what our family values and goals are for the future so that we can raise kiddos and continue to grow ourselves into this world as well.
Those
Excellent.
are great points. And yeah, like you mentioned, anytime you're trying to make a change in your life, some type of behavior change, making a new habit, it takes time. You can't,
Yes.
for most people, you can't just go cold turkey on something. Like
Yes.
you,
Yes.
you gotta, yeah, you gotta take some time and take the perfectionist out of it.
Yeah.
And yeah, just experiment what works for you. And it's the same with um, food, diet culture, things like that.
Yes.
You can't just completely change your diet
Right.
360
No.
in one day. It's same thing with
No.
screen habits too.
Yeah, it doesn't happen overnight.
Nope. Absolutely not.
So, Alicia, tell us a little bit so you told us a little bit just now about some of your offerings. So tell us how
Yeah.
people can get connected with you, what you have to offer, what you have going on currently
Absolutely.
right now.
Absolutely. So this summer, I'm actually hosting a 1,000 hours off screen challenge. And so that's a free challenge to anybody who wants to join it. If you have heard of the 1,000 hours outside challenge, it's a spinoff of that idea of being able to just live life outside of your screens without feeling like you're having a task list or to-do list of something that you have to complete. So that is something that I am offering this summer, and you can get that information by joining my newsletter as well. And that is directly on my website. So that's Alicia Collette Foundations, and you can access it there. I am also on Instagram, and I do have the links embedded in there that you can access that through my Instagram too. And if you are ready to take the deep dive into overhauling your screen use and really getting to the root cause of it, you can join my digital course, Unplugged Family Roots. I do have a community in there as well that I do go live every 2 weeks to be able to just talk with families about how we can make some more adjustments, learn from one another, just create that safe space round table type of a discussion as well. And all of that information again is linked to my Instagram. It's on my website. website as well. But you can always email me, Alicia at aliciacollettefoundations.com, and we can connect personally on there too to be able to talk about any other things individually as well.
Awesome. And we'll have all that linked on the description and on here too. So
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, it sounds like you're very vast, very rich in knowledge, very rich in education and information. And they can, when they find you on your platforms, I feel like there will be no shortage of the amounts of tips, information, tricks, knowledge, and literature, and just teachings from you that they can get. So that is awesome.
Yeah.
Do you want to do our affirmations with her? These are fun things that you like to do.
So all these affirmation cards. So we try to do one on every episode. So pick a number between 1 and 10.
Let's do 5.
3, 4, 5.
I picked out 5. Okay, there we go. All right. So it says, nothing is so often irretrievably missed as a daily opportunity. Mary von Ebner Eschenbach.
Love that. That's awesome.
That's a great one. So, the missed daily opportunity, screen use, right?
Absolutely.
A daily opportunity to spend more time connected with your family, with your friends, and taking screens away. The 1,000 hours, like you said, that's amazing. For the summer, is there specific dates for that you're tracking?
So it started on June 1st. And at this point, I will probably be going through all of, what is that, September 20th? I don't know when fall officially starts.
Yeah, the 21st, 22nd. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the 20th, 21st, something like that. Yeah. So we're definitely doing that through the summer. I'm not sure if I'm going to be doing something different with that in the fall. At this point, I have gotten a lot of great feedback about it. So we'll see where it goes, but definitely a huge focus for this summer, and then figure out where to go from there.
Awesome. Great. Well, thank you again for being here. It was such a pleasure to speak with you.
And thank you guys for having me. I so appreciate it.
I also think that thing is amazing. I feel like when we read that card, I feel like we did that card review already. It sounds just like when we did. And what's amazing is that you applied what you took from that card towards the conversation that we had with Alicia here. So like our answer and our emotion, our feelings from that card was different than what it was when we read the first time. It was applied towards teachings from that episode. So you can get so many different meanings and interpretations from that affirmation, which is amazing. Now, I could be wrong, but that sounds just like it.
It sounds familiar, but
yeah,
maybe I should start taking them out.
But I mean, I love that we got another feeling, another thoughts from that affirmation. So thank you, and thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, I think that was a great way to wrap up this episode. If you like, we can come back and do another one, because I know you still have a lot more that you were able to talk about. We have a lot more questions that we would love to pick your brain about, because this was a fun conversation and you have a lot to offer. And as always, we'd like to end every episode the same way we start, with a cheers to you and a cheers to you, the listening and viewing audience, by saying, cheers. Thank you very much, Alicia, for joining us, and thank you for your time. Yes. And here at Hatten Health, we love to focus on family, health, growth, and empowerment. So let's make it happen together. Cheers.